So what I want to focus on next now is when exercise isn't such a hot idea on HCG. I kind of already mentioned this briefly in the first video, but if you have any kind of health complications, it may be all that your body can handle to just do the HCG diet protocol itself. That may be just all your body can handle. It can't handle doing anything else. And that really has been the case for me. I have actually tried both what you might call low-key exercise, like just taking longer walks. I've tried that, and I've also tried more intense type stuff, which is my CrossFit. I've actually tried to continue CrossFit while doing HCG. So I've done both, and neither of them worked for me. I'll tell you what symptoms I had. Basically, when I did those things, not only did my weight loss stop dead, which, as I said in the last video, if you feel good from exercise on HCG, you don't need to worry too much about the scale being slower. But for me, that was just one thing. But the other thing that happened was that I had extreme fatigue, which then would make me really depressed. I would feel like the HCG protocol was just so impossibly hard. Mentally, I just couldn't even handle the idea of sticking to it. And I would just, be in the evening thinking to myself, there's no way I can get through another 21 days of this. It was just a horrible feeling overall. I had really bad food cravings, not only for more food, but for food that's not on the protocol, just far more so than I have normally. And that's a really bad combo, you guys. I mean, HCG and phase 2 are not kind masters. You guys know that. I don't have to tell you that. So you need to do what's best for you to make this protocol manageable. I'm actually not dogmatic about very many things at all. You guys know that. When I talk about stuff, I always just try to say, this is what's worked for me, but this might work for you. And, I truly feel that way about most things. But in this case, I dogmatically feel that you need to do what's best for you to get through it successfully. If it becomes too difficult because of whatever you're trying to accomplish, you're not gonna succeed. You're gonna give up. And I have given up before, on HCG. In my second round. That wasn't because of exercise, but the point is it is very important not to compare yourself to other people or to think that because this person is doing something that you have to be able to do it, and if you're not able to, then you're not as good as them, or just don't think that way. Accept what you're able to manage and work with that. And if you do that, that is really going to give you the biggest chance for being successful is by working with who you are. I have learned this so much, honestly, just in this past year. I feel like I've come strides in many parts of my life, not just my body, but in many parts of my life, just by finally accepting certain things about myself that are just, they're there, Not that we shouldn't try to improve ourselves, of course, but just accepting certain, inner workings, the way my body works, the way my mind works, and learning to work with that. And I'm getting so much more out of myself ever since I started doing that. So I just really encourage you not to base what you're capable of off of others. Find out what works for your body. So what can you expect if you don't exercise on HCG then? If you're in my boat and your body doesn't seem to multitask very well, which is the case with me, does that mean you're, not going to do as well on HCG, or you're not going to get as good of an experience as someone else? Let's talk about that. My opinion is that basically this is what I've already said, but if you work with your body, sticking, of course, to the basic principles of the protocol, that's an obvious one, I think. But as long as you're sticking to the basic principles of HCG and the protocol and how it works, as long as you do what makes you feel the best while you're on the protocol, and I'm not talking about how you feel the best, like giving into cravings and stuff. I'm talking about what makes your body feel the healthiest and the most satisfied, and just makes you feel the best in that way. If you do that, I think that's how you're going to get the best results from HCG. So whether you exercise or not, do what makes you feel the best on the protocol. So for anyone who's worried about muscle loss or muscle retention or, you know, whatever, stuff like that, I can tell you that my own HCG diet journey, I've pretty much not exercised for 99% of it. I mean, I had those 2 short endeavors at exercise and had very bad symptoms. And so I gave that up pretty fast. So like I said, I haven't exercised, I mean, not one drop of sweat, okay? Nothing at all. So very, very sedentary while I'm on HCG. And I can honestly tell you guys that I have had a very high percentage of fat loss on all but one of my rounds. Basically, I usually have lost between 75 and 88% fat loss. My last 2 rounds were about 88% fat loss, which means that out of all the weight that I lost, 88% of it was fat. Not only that, because that does mean 12% of it was muscle, right? Not only that, I always gain back any muscle I lost like so fast with almost no effort in P3. You know, I do exercise, of course, in P3, but literally, I think this last time I did a hydro just 2 weeks or 2 or 3 weeks after my end of P2, and I had already gained back like 5 pounds of muscle. So that actually kind of makes me suspicious that the muscle loss that does occur on HCG isn't even true muscle. I kind of think it maybe, my suspicion is that it's really just water weight. This little fact here is that muscle is actually 75% water. So your muscles store a lot of water. And you know, when you go into a low carb diet or you exercise or different things, that's why you can see huge weight shifts in very short periods of time, is because there's a lot of water that can go in and out of your muscles. So I kind of feel like at least half of that muscle is really just water. And so then when you go back onto, you know, regular eating in P3 and eating healthy, a healthy amount of calories, I think it's just like your water stores filling back up. I could be wrong. That's purely just an idea of mine. For me, I can't really fathom how I could possibly gain 5 pounds of actual muscle fiber, you know, in just 2 weeks with, you know, like 3 workouts. So anyways, just food for that. Basically, I have done this protocol with exercise in between and having my body fat tested so many times now that I don't worry anymore about losing muscle on HCG. I really don't. Whatever I lose, I know I'm gonna gain right back without gaining fat, mind you, which is the important thing here and why there's proof that HCG is a healthy diet as opposed to what a lot of people say. So I just don't worry about it anymore. When I first started HCG, that's the biggest concern I had, you know, and that's the biggest thing that people like to use to say that HCG is unhealthy. They like to say, oh, it's a starvation diet because you're eating 500 calories and all you're losing is muscle. Well, you know, that's simply not the case. I've had enough testing now, like I said. I have had, you know, perfect ease in keeping the weight off. That might be another thing that you're wondering about, you know. Would it help my metabolism more if I exercised on HCG? Well, you know, if you can handle it and you feel good, maybe it would benefit you in that way. But if you feel crappy and you're exercising, I don't see how that's going to benefit you later. You know, usually the things that are best for your body are the things that make your body feel healthier. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents on that. I just want you guys to not worry about feeling maybe limited in one way or another, you know, feeling like, oh, I'm not gonna do as well because I'm not able to do such and such. There's no need to feel that way. You will do great just doing the protocol as it is. You know, don't worry about the exercise if you can't manage it. I haven't been able to, and yet off of HCG, I am able to exercise, and you know, I started at 34.5% body fat. I had almost 60 pounds of fat on my body. And now I have 24 pounds of fat. I'm, you know, 19% body fat. I actually got as low as 21 pounds of fat at the end of my last round, but I didn't maintain like 3 pounds of it. But whatever, obviously I've maintained the majority of my fat loss, and it really hasn't been a problem. I don't count calories. I only exercise 3 to 4 hours a week max. I don't spend 2 or 3 hours in the gym every day. I don't do that. I do feel CrossFit is definitely a more efficient form of exercise. I don't know that if I just did any form of exercise 3 to 4 hours a week, if it would do the same thing. I kind of doubt it, but just to kind of give you guys some perspective that it's okay if you find you can't exercise, you will still do well. So. Oh, I forgot also, if you wanted to see my actual stats, my hydrostatic body fat tests, like actual pictures of them and the breakdown of how how much fat I lost, what my body fat percent, how it changed and how much time, all that stuff. I actually, if you go to the blog post, that goes with this video, I have some links to the articles that I've written on those topics. So you can learn more about that if you want.